Ladies and gentlemen, on this RedGamers.com video, we're going to be attempting to keep balance with the Force. In this video, we're going to be discussing all things Nvidia. There's been a couple of Nvidia developments over the past few days, which we're going to attempt to cover all of in this video. The first would be that Nvidia are indeed planning to launch another graphics card, but this time falling for early next year, as you'd probably expect. It's going to be the GT 930, and we're also going to be discussing Nvidia's patent issues. Yes, that's right, the legal monster is still churning at Nvidia. So, just to get everyone up to speed, because I know that this has been on and off their legal battles over the past couple of years actually. Essentially, Nvidia are in the middle of litigation against Samsung and Qualcomm, as well as other companies, over the fact of they claim that they invented the modern day GPU. Therefore, they believe that other companies should essentially buy a license to produce items which work very similarly. So they dropped one of the claims. They quietly just basically dismissed it and let that fall to the wayside, leaving 3 others. 2 were found to be non-infringing by the ITC, but the 3rd patent was infringing, but simply because of the other 2 weren't infringing, they basically just lost the court case. You'd think that would be the end of it, but no, they filed an appeal, which they lost, and now they are once again appealing. So there would be another ruling before the 15th and the 14th. This was according to the ITC with 2 new notices. But the second ruling predicted what we'd already expected, that there was nothing wrong with the initial decision, that the patents were indeed invalid and non-infringing. So essentially, this is pretty much the biggest loss that Nvidia could, well, deal with. This is like, you know, completely and utterly in their face kind of levels. I've already made my feelings and thoughts regarding the modern day GPU situation kinda clear, and the problem with patents and intellectual property, as many people know, it's not just a case of, oh, we released it first. There can be delays, and other 2 companies can be pretty much manufacturing things at the same time. I personally disagree with the very principle of a GPU patent. I'm kind of simplifying it somewhat for the time in this video, but imagine if other items such as the CPU was completely and utterly patented, and the situation that we would be in that case. Now, others in the industry have been somewhat less kind to Nvidia and have actually accused the company of patent trolling, which I don't necessarily know if I'd go that far. However, it's rather expensive to get into this level of litigation. This is one of those cases where, if you excuse the pun, the only real winners are the lawyers. In short, the lawyers are probably rubbing their hands together with glee, because obviously they're going to get paid regardless. But I kind of don't feel that Nvidia should win this one. I'm kind of glad, for the sake of the IT industry, for information technology, for progression, that they lost it. But that is just my feelings and thoughts. I don't really have a preference on any GPU manufacturer, but I feel that for this case, it's probably better that the ITC ruled how they did. With that said, we're going to be discussing the GT 930. So you may say to yourself, but who gives a crap about the GT 930? I mean, let's just be honest. It's not exactly going to be ripping up the frames per second in Far Cry, is it? Well, maybe the original Far Cry, but certainly not, you know, Primal or whatever. Now, essentially, the card is rumoured to be released in the first quarter of 2016, so you can guess of what date that could be. It could be January the 1st all the way to, you know, February the 29th or even later. This is roughly the same time frame as we're expected to see the GTX 960 Ti, which is going to be fighting against AMD's R9 380X. Obviously the 380X is just faster than the 960 base, but it's kind of a weird situation, because at that time it's like most people are expecting the new level of graphics cards, so spending that amount of cash, maybe. But who are these cards going to be built for? It's pretty obvious, to be honest with you. It's going to be those who are interested in movies, like high performance movies, maybe those who are interested in producing things in Photoshop, but not necessarily they're experts or anything like that. They just need a basic system. They need maybe a basic gaming card, those type of individuals. HTC, and let's face it, Maxwell in that respect is absolutely perfect. As I mentioned, there are going to be 3 derivatives, and I know that sounds absolutely crazy, but there's going to be Maxwell, Kepler, and Fermi. So, from what we understand, the Fermi is possibly going to destroy the world with the amount of performance it's going to offer. It's going to be built on 40 nm. I don't know how true these rumours are. They come from Chinese sources, but how accurate, you know as well as I do sources and whispers in the wind and all that jazz, but they've tend to be fairly accurate in the past. And most of these, I imagine, in the case of Fermi and probably the Kepler derivatives, are probably going to be mostly for OEMs to keep the things as cheap as possible, like cheap office systems, and that's why the TDP of the card is like 50 watts, considering it's only got 96 CUDA cores. Yeah, 64-bit or 128-bit interface with 2GB of DDR3 memory. Oh dear. Anyway, as I said, it is pretty much for those who are looking to do not much more than Word. You've got the Kepler, obviously the GK208, 28nm, which is nice, 384 CUDA cores, 4GB of either DDR3 or GDDR5 memory, 64 or 128-bit. TDP of 25 or 40 watts, probably depending upon the memory clocks and all of that jazz. And finally, the Maxwell GM108, which is 28nm, same number of CUDA cores, and same memory configurations, 64-bit, 15 watt. To be honest with you, I would imagine most individuals are probably going to want to go with the Maxwell because there's very little price difference, assuming these price leaks are accurate, because the 930 Fermi is apparently $60, while the top-end Maxwell, I say top-end in the loosest possible terms, is only $90 US. Once again, however, for OEMs, the Fermi version is definitely going to be quite popular, because if you're saving $30 or what have you over multiple units, it starts to add up rather quickly. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. It's been a bit of a short one, but I just want to throw it all in because we've discussed a lot of AMD news recently, so I like to bring a bit of, balance and the coverage from the green side. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.